Hi, Lisa Anderson here from A Healing Place Complete Counseling Care. So today I want to talk about empathy, but before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about that we only had one video this week because we've been very busy getting the office open, which is where I'm actually sitting right now, is in A Healing Place's office. This is actually specifically my office space. And I came in today to shoot a commercial, so I thought, well, I just got done shooting a commercial, I might as well shoot my video. So today is only going to be one video. The other great news I want to talk about is I'm going to start doing a live show on Facebook on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. That's going to start in June. I'll be giving some information out about that. It's going to be 1 hour. And what it really is going to be is people sending me questions and me answering those questions on air. So it's really going to depend on the viewer being willing to send questions, and if not, I'll just have things that I'll have off to the side that I'm going to talk about. But I'm really hoping that people will send questions because that's going to be make the show a much better show. So it's called Ask Lisa, and it's really going to be about how to work through different things in your life. So it's I think going to be a really exciting addition to our Facebook page, and also to helping our clients and others do better in life and feel better in life. So today let's talk about empathy. You know, as I've been talking about all month, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so empathy is a big piece of this because empathy is part of the reason that the stigma is out there, is too many people lack empathy in this area. And so I want to give a definition of what empathy is, which is empathy is the ability to understand and share a feelings of another person. So sympathy is I feel for you, empathy is I feel with you. And so I went looking for some information on this because I thought, you know, why reinvent the wheel when there might be good information out there? And I did come across somebody's blog who I really want to give a shout out to, Enid Spitz. She wrote a blog called theheartmonte.com and really did a nice job of explaining these three different types of empathy. So before I go into that, though, I want to talk about who Brene Brown is. So Brene Brown is a researcher, social worker who researched shame for many, many years. And what she came out of that research is about shame is that people who are able to feel vulnerable, people who are able to express their pain and empathize well, or what she refers to as living wholehearted, tend to do better in life and tend to have less stress or less issues than people who are feeling a lot of shame. And she talked about empathy in a different way. So Brene Brown said, quote, "Empathy is communicating that incredible healing message, you're not alone," end quote. Now imagine that, believing you're not alone. How wonderful would that be? So let's talk about the three types of empathy. The first one is cognitive empathy. So this is just knowing what the other person's feeling and thinking and really being able to put yourself or take their perspective of what they're talking about. This concern with this type of empathy is really the thought and understanding and the intellect involved with it. So really, again, that perspective taking. So I can see from your perspective why you thought that was something you should do. So for an example, let's say I came in the house and my husband was mopping the floor and I needed to get over to get my keys, and the only way I could get to my keys was to cross the floor, and he got frustrated with me, and I explained to him I had to get my keys, I couldn't get to them without walking across the floor, I'm sorry. His perspective of empathizing with my predicament, saying, you know, I get it, I understand why you needed to do that, and then we could talk about a solution as to what we could have done differently. So it's really putting himself in my place instead of getting mad and angry, me explaining, him empathizing with my predicament. So looking at emotional empathy would be the second one. And this is when the person physically can feel what the other person is feeling. So they can physically feel the sadness, the pain, the happiness, the fear, whatever that might be. This is the one that a lot of people refer to themselves as empaths, that they feel those people's emotions. The concerns are that they're feeling their physical sensation, and there's those mirror neurons. So for those of you who don't know what mirror neurons is, there are certain brain cells in our brain that they can pick up or see or feel what others are doing. Mirror neurons were discovered a little bit accidentally in a research lab that was using monkeys to study muscle memory, and ended up coming across these mirror neurons instead, in that they recognized that the monkeys were, the brain waves were still going off even when the treats weren't there, just by watching the researcher go over there. So that taught them that these mirror neurons is that they're not just what they actually were getting, but what they thought they were getting or what they knew they would be getting created that same reaction. So mirror neurons is oftentimes referred to as monkey see, monkey do, because it's what we are able to do back and forth. Mirror neurons are very important in the development of empathy. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So the problem with emotional empathy people are that it can become very overwhelming, and they sometimes get lost in their own emotional overload and start forgetting that they're supposed to be there for somebody else, or they take that in and hold on to that energy, and then they feel depressed or sad themselves, which is why you see a lot of people who refer to themselves as empaths feeling like they're having a hard time struggling with this. The third one is compassionate empathy, and this is that not only does it understand the person's predicament and feel for them, but the need to help them. And this is really where therapists try to come from, is that I'm here for you, I hear you, I'm with you, I feel with you, but we're also going to solve this problem, and this is how we're going to do it. So you're using intelligent emotion and actions together. So this is really the best one to come from, and a really good skill set to develop. Empathy, it can be developed and it can be strengthened. The one thing about empathy is that it really is developed from newborn on, and those mirror neurons I was referring to, that's when a mother looks into the baby's eyes and creates that eye contact, that the mother and father are always there responding to the child's needs, that they teach them empathy, that they teach them kindness, that they show them how we watch out for others, and that is really how people develop empathy. And children who have autism, this seems to be an area that's lacking, and there is some research saying that those mirror neurons may not be firing correctly. So children who have autism can learn how to be gentle, and they can learn how to be nice, and they can learn the social skills, but they may never be able to put themselves emotionally quite to feel what that other person's feeling because they're missing that component. But that doesn't mean they can't learn the other skill set around it. So empathy is somewhat nurtured as well as a learned behavior, and then there's some genetic component to this too. If you come from a really empathetic family, there's a high probability that you're also going to have empathy. But again, it can be taught. It is a skill that can be taught. And so there are tons of books out there and tons of videos and YouTube videos out there about how to teach empathy. And if you're feeling like this is an area you want to get better at, or you need to get more strength of, or you've had people say to you, you lack empathy, this might be something you might want to do. Now, just a side note, that people who have narcissistic personality disorders or antisocial personality disorders, this is something you see consistently lacking, and appears to not be something that can be developed. So if you feel like you are a person who's in a relationship with someone where they just cannot feel empathy, nor do they seem to be very involved on themselves, that could be a good sign that you could be in a relationship with someone with narcissistic personality disorder. And I would really encourage you to review some of the different videos and literature out there about that, because somebody who has that type of personality disorder will not be able to gain empathy. And so it's not the best use of your time, nor is it the best use of your time to be in a relationship with someone like that. So trying to build empathy is an important skill. And as I said, there's lots of books out there that can help you. It's emotional intelligence. There's a book actually even called Emotional Intelligence, and kind of the founder of who discovered these different pieces. I would recommend trying to find some of those if empathy is something that you're worried that you need to develop a better skill of. People who have empathy, who can really do especially the compassionate empathy, will always be better at leading and be more sought out of by other people, because they're going to be known as good listeners, and they're also going to be known as people who are good to have in a relationship. So keep working on how to build that empathy. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time.